thanks for coming out. It's great to see you. Nice little crowd. That's good. My name's Jim Maley. I'm lucky enough to be the mayor of this great town. This is Commissioner Rob Lewandowski, who's still finishing up his vodka. Here. Commissioner Joan Leonard, who's probably already had enough red wine. She doesn't need any more here with her tonight. We're our town forums. I see a lot of familiar faces, but there's some new faces. We've been, I'll tell you just the format. We've been doing these for 20 years. We love them. They're great. Great way for us to learn things from you and for you to hear little bits about the scuttlebutt, what we're thinking of things. The format is this. We'll each talk for a few minutes, and then floor is open, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Happy to take any and all questions, comments. We especially encourage positive, good comments, but you're allowed to talk about whatever it is you'd like to talk about. Okay? So, Commissioner Lewandowski,
new guy first. Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here. It's a gorgeous day, and we're really happy to have you here. I wrote things down because I just wouldn't remember it. First thing is happy Better with Bacon Week. Did everyone know it's Better with Bacon Week, right? So we still got a couple days to enjoy a lot of the great menu items that our local restaurants are offering all around bacon. So for you vegetarians out there, I'm sorry, there's other things. It's not exclusively bacon, but it's a great way to draw traffic, especially midweek, for families that want to get out, and also people from outside to support our businesses. So happy Better with Bacon Week. I also wanted to mention, because it's National Library Week as well, and Cass, you stepped on National Library Week with your planning here, wherever you are.
Get a book about bacon.
And I just wanted to, sometimes we have to it's good to have a little reminder about all the services that we have. And I thought I'd use this opportunity to talk about the library. So I had to write this because I'll forget things. First of all, thank you to the librarians, the staff, and the volunteers for everything they do. So let me give you a sense of some of the richness that's available at our library. And by the way, Philly Magazine just named the Collingswood Library one of the 5 libraries in the Philadelphia region that you have to go to. So it's a really nice honor, and it speaks to their work. But a couple of things. There's over a dozen family passes to local museums. So you can go there and check those out for free. Free downloadable ebooks, audiobooks. You go and pay for all your Audible accounts and all these other things. Those things are available for free at the library. Job resources, historical resources, emergency, human services resource. If there's something that you might need some help with, it's a great place to start at the library, because they may have it there, and if not, the librarians are tremendously helpful. Events and programs. By the way, there's one tonight. So there could be someone who is at something on French and the American Revolution thing that's going on. But there's a monthly book club. There's story time and literacy enrichment for kids. There's Lego clubs, Teen Dungeons and Dragons, a Girls Who Code program, which encourages girls to go into STEM and computer programs. Read to a Dog. Anyone know about this? Read to a Dog? So there's some research that shows that new readers are very comfortable when they're reading actually to animals versus people, because they don't interrupt and they feel very relaxed. So the library put on this great program. You better register if you want to do it, because there's a lot of people are interested in this. And little kids come there with their books, and they actually read to an actual dog, and it's a great opportunity. It's a lot of fun. Another great thing they do, summer programs, there's a teen area, and then on May 5th is Free Comic Book Day, which is a neat thing. Yes, free comic books, and lots of events. So our library is doing great things. I just want to mention another great thing. We all love our holiday parade. That happens the Saturday after Thanksgiving. The major fundraiser for that happens April 28th, right here. We're actually right there at the Scottish Rite and in the auditorium, and that's a big concert with Candy Volcano, the great Bowie tribute band, glam rock, And Chicago 9, Kevin, is that right? Chicago 9 doing a lot of Chicago. So you're going to get big bands and lots of horns and lots of fun. And it's a big fundraiser and an important thing. So we like to do them right and make them fun at the same time. So tickets you can find, go to collingswood.com or Ticketmaster. You can get any of those places. Last thing is if you like the parade, if you like the farmer's market, if you want to know what the special sauce is that makes this community so good, a lot of it is creativity, hard work, and volunteers. So, you know, if you like these events, get involved with them. If you like the book festival, get involved with them. So many great opportunities for you to take a role, as small or as large as you want, and sort of mention that. So, I'm done. So, Joe, Commissioner Leonard?
I want to go to the library right now. Leave and go to the library. So,
We're getting some more chairs, okay? So there's some seats up here. I promise it's not like church. We're not there's no collection.
Rob, be an usher if you sit there. So, thanks, Rob. There's a lot of information. So,
It's a lot of library.
there's so many things to talk about because if winter would just end, spring is so great in Collingswood. So like every day I check my weather channel to see if it's actually going to snow one more time. And it always says yes, just one more time, right? And then you think, well, maybe it'll just blow by and then I can actually observe how beautiful the daffodils are and the magnolias coming up with snow on them. So we're praying and hoping that it's great because we want the farmer's market to open. We want to be on the avenue and get, you know, an ice cream cone or something to just be out there walking. And, you know, we do this green festival every year, so this is the 10-year anniversary, and that's my personal Christmas, as Jim would say, it's Joan's Christmas, but it's our kickoff to spring for me because you can get everything for cheap, for free, for whatever, and just bring it home and say, I got that. I got my composter. I got my rain barrel. I got a sapling for free. I got a tree for cheap. I learned how to do a rain garden. You know, there's so many things, and bring the family, there's music. In fact, besides our own nice bluegrass music and that we always have something like that, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, Perkins Perkins Center for the Arts, that we're lucky to have in Collingswood, is sponsoring a band, 10 pieces, doing Motown. So from 1 to 2, you want to be there, because you know Motown, right? Don't lie. Okay, so who said they don't? Okay. So it'll be a lot of fun, and we hope you're there. So again, with the volunteerism that Rob was talking about, if you want to get involved with any aspect of our green team, we've always had green initiatives in Collingswood. I went back in time to figure out what we did. I mean, our picking up of leaves and having our own composting site forever, we've always been there with that type of, you know, work in our town, with our people here, but there's so much more happening now. We just keep moving forward. So get involved with the Green Festival and come, and so that brings me to tree planting. Every year we pick a different street or area of town to get some trees planted where we need it. And this year we're really focusing on people who've lost because of storm damage. The storms this year, the damage that's caused. So our budget is dedicated toward helping people. We just started giving out letters. If you're one of those people, or you know somebody who needs some restoration efforts, we want to dedicate our budget toward that to help bring back trees. Of course, it takes a few years for them to look like something because they're only 9 or 10 feet high. But we shop at the nurseries, we observe them, we try to find things that are healthy and good for the environment. And in addition to helping those blocks that have lost for storm, we're making some new efforts. We're going more on people's lawn if they want it. You want something on your lawn because PSE&G, well, because we're losing the upper branches when we're under wires. So we want to work with neighbors to try to put things where we won't lose our trees, and work with you for things that are more long-lasting for our neighborhoods. Additionally, we have a goal of wildlife habitat, of Collingswood having more wildlife habitat, foliage and trees and plants, so that hummingbirds can come and butterflies can come and have more places to go, because there's so much more cement than there was 50 years ago, so we're trying to do that. So some of the trees that we choose, if you want them, will have, you know, some berries like hawthorns, and I can't tell you right now the list. I have a list as long as my arm in my office where you can pick things that are more and wildlife, birds. So if you're interested in that, we're making an extra effort toward that. And people have been calling and telling us that that's what they want, and do I have a tree that would help with that? So I'm so excited to hear that outreach from Collingswood, which always has amazing people doing amazing things, and it's a thrill to get those calls and say, I have a tree for you, and do that. So the last thing I wanted to say is if you want to volunteer for a green team, you want to get a tree, and if you want to help with Night Park, just let us know. There's always something going on that we could use some help with, and everything is in the town crier. If you don't get it, let us know. We want to make sure you get the town crier. It's also online on our new updated website, where we're constantly making improvements. And the Green Festival little poster and flyer is here if you want to take one home or share it with a friend to tell people to come to our festival. Thank you. Mayor?
Thanks, John. So the trees we're trying to get are trees that will discourage squirrels, however.
Just hummingbirds and butterflies.
I can't tell you all the people that have talked to me about having hunting season for squirrels. But, so I'll give you just an update, a couple little things. One is McFarland's on the Avenue, which it's been 10 years and people ask me where that's at. But if you take a peek through, like it's coming along. We're going to have a market this year. Probably be done in 2 weeks, but no, it's going to be coming this year. Market's coming. One of the other bigger projects we've been working on is building a new police and fire station. Where we are in that, we've had a couple of meetings already about it. One general public, or we focused the town forum on it. We did one with the neighborhood. Where we are with that is we had retained architects. Architects are now working with the police department, the fire department to go over programming, the operations, what they all need, how it's going to work. And they are working through concepts to see if, number one, it fits on this site, the 434 Haddon that we've targeted, and then really just if it fits. So if they can get everything done between the two departments, then once we get to that stage, we'll have another meeting that will open up for everybody and begin to go through like what the concepts are, what the plans are, if it works that way. Okay, so that's where that is. I'm hoping by later on this year, we won't have another one of these forums till the fall, but we're hoping later this year to get some construction started on this Safe Street to Schools. Getting grant money is a great thing. Problem is we got this grant like 4 or 5 years ago, and we're still working through the state bureaucracy. Their engineers are like finishing plans. This is how long it takes to get to actually do something. But there's a number of bump outs that'll be coming out with that. More pedestrian crossings. The only one I know off the top of my head is at Homestead and Haddon, where the post office is. My office used to be there, and I can tell you that it is the craziest intersection I think we have in town between the traffic for the post office, and it's the offset streets and traffic going in for the speed line. So there'll be little bump outs, and we'll try to, it's hopefully going to be set so that it's a little easier as a pedestrian. You only have a 20% chance of getting whacked as opposed to like an 80 or 85% chance that you have today. So that's the things I'll just tell you off the top of the head. Let's at my top of my head, let's open it up. What do you want to talk about? I'll get to you, Joe. Yes.
Yes. I am a tenant of, this is the first time I've come. I've lived here 10 years.
Well,
I'm a tenant at Parkview.
okay.
For the past 10 years. If you had any hope about the new owners, forget it. They are awful. They are the worst that we have seen. And they are adding on fees to our rents. They are, with not even discussing it with us, they are rude. We feel, a lot of us feel that they bought these buildings. They have a hidden agenda. Whatever it is, I don't know. But it's awful. There's so much I could write you a book. And the security is is not good. They think that they're doing such a great job. The lobbies, they took apart and they look terrible. That it's not warming. They took down all the trees. The only thing they put there is dog parks, which was not really on our list. It's just terrible. I mean, if you go on their website and look up Morgan Properties, you will find that they own other properties, and every one of them have bad reviews. So I just hope that you find out what their hidden agenda is, and because Collingswood is a great town. I enjoyed my 10 years here, and I hope I have more years here. But it's just, I just don't trust these people, and I hope that you look into what they're doing. Another thing I want to say, which I don't even think is legal, they're starting to, anybody that renews their lease, they're starting to, we have no meters, you know that, no electric meters, no
Right.
heating meters, nothing. They're gonna start charging us for heat. They found somebody that's gonna go through the apartments, and they go take a square footage and what the weather is and what they're gonna, every month they're gonna come up with a figure for you to pay whatever they, And then they're also charging us, which we never paid for anything, but they're charging us to pick up garbage. And we have garbage on a garbage, chute on every floor, one of those. And they instead of coming 7 days a week, now they come 3 days a week. And even though now we're starting to pay for it. It's just, as a mayor, as to keep this town, you gotta look into them.
Okay.
They have a problem, and they don't want to admit it, but they do. And they have, and I'm positive, God is my witness, that they have a hidden agenda.
Okay, so, thanks for letting us know. Feel free anytime to email us, okay? You can email us off the website, you don't have to wait for a meeting. If there's anything specific, we've had a couple complaints in the last several months, I'll say, and we've had,
This has been, they've been here since October 15th.
yes. And we've met with them a few times.
Trust them, I'm telling you.
We do inspections over there, every COs are done, every turn. Tell you what, you gotta let me just talk for a second, okay? So we do inspections over there, we're on, in terms of the property maintenance. The rent issues and things they do there, that's not like within our bailiwick, we don't have regulation of that.
But they've been there 40 years and it never happened, it never was.
I understand, but we just don't have jurisdiction.
How could you?
We don't have jurisdiction over what they charge in terms of rent or fees or how they do it. But in terms of property maintenance and how it's maintained and what's done, we're all over, okay? Our team we're all over.
Isn't there anything like rent stabilization?
We don't have any ordinance for that. I've never had any kind of rent control or anything like that.
But isn't having no meters illegal? If you're gonna charge?
I don't know.
Well, you should look into it.
Okay, but it's not, even if I find that it's illegal, there's nothing the Borough of Collingswood can do about that, okay? Like, you need to check maybe with the BP, the Board of Public Utilities. We can try and look and see. Morgan Properties is a pretty big, we did do our homework, and I don't know, just because there's some bad reviews on the internet doesn't make, trust me, the things people say about me on the internet, sweet mother of God. But we did check them out, and they run a lot of great properties. And I've talked to mayors in a bunch of towns where they are, and the mayors, every one of them was thrilled to death that they did things to improve and upgrade the property. So we will look into any specifics about the property, let us know. Our crew, when they talk with the management over there, will be sure and touch base to try and find out what's going on. Okay? Joseph, you had your hand? I know what you want to talk about, but.
I want to say two great things first.
Okay.
First of all,
Two what? What'd you say?
I want to say two great things first.
Okay, all right. Well, that implies that the third one's not so great.
Horrible.
Motion to close.
I had a great week. I'm happy with the Harry Potter series, and the library is also great. It's great. And I'm super psyched about that bump out. Let me tell you. Rob will tell you.
Tell me about
I
it.
keep bugging him about it.
Yeah.
It's tied up with the state, right? It's the latest
That's
state
what it
engineers? All right, just, okay, fine, we'll speak. My question was to you, as you're telling me to be louder, this safe shit, yeah, I was actually talking to you.
We can't hear the question.
Say, you got it, okay. Well, I'll restate, it was, yeah, especially since Joe said nice things, I'll repeat it. It was about the library, about Harry Potter stuff at the library. He thought was really good, and he's really happy for Homestead Avenue bump out to be coming.
Yes.
Which do we know what year that might be coming?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Okay. No, it's still in process.
Before the market.
So go ahead.
No, I just wanted to clear up like what's going on with Devil's Creek.
Okay.
I'm curious to learn about what the crackdown on like the pub trivia type events there is. I'm just curious in a nerdy way, what the code prevents that?
Sure.
And also why it's okay that Pop Shop has events like that, but Devil's Creek can't.
You bet. So the question was, what's up with Devil's Creek? And as Joe said, the crackdown on events. Okay. So I want to get, I want to get clear, like, because it's really important for this narrative. It's not a crackdown. Okay. So when the idea of a brewery first came to us, there were changes in state law, and those state law changes said that you could open a brewery with specific definition of what that was in town without a liquor license. Okay. So our town, we initially, real quick adopted a zoning ordinance that prohibited it, okay? Because we had nothing on the books to regulate them in any way, because you couldn't have a liquor license, okay? So as I told people at the time, like, we also don't have any zoning that regulates airports, because you can't have an airport here, so we don't have anything in the books on it. So we first said, no, you can't do it. And then we went through a process of looking at what the other experience in other towns were, how we can set this up that we think would still be in keeping with the character of our town, okay? Because we didn't want a bar. Michael was on that, right? We were pretty like, we don't want bars, okay? But this is a little different. Some of the rules for these restricted licensed breweries are, they can only sell what they make on premises. They are limited, at the time, you're limited to, well, the state law limited them at the time, you can have a tasting room. So you can have 4-ounce glasses and tastings. You can't have live music. You can't have TV. You can't, and we went through a whole process with town forums and our meetings where we discussed this. And some people that weren't happy about it said, well, it's a bar. And I was like, well, no, in a way it's a bar, but it's probably the worst bar you've ever been to. Because you can't watch the game, you can't listen to anybody play music. You're there to taste the beer. That's what it is. Okay?
That wasn't the business plan. The business plan is that you get a tour, you look at what they're making, and you buy it to take with you to a restaurant. That was the primary function.
So we worked with the people that were interested in doing it, which were, I don't know if it's all the same people that are involved today that were then, okay? Because I dealt with somebody else a lot. But we wrote the ordinance, working with them, and our zoning ordinance exactly mirrors state law at the time. It says 4-ounce glasses you can serve in tasting rooms, okay? They got their approvals, full, no TVs, no music, went through the whole drill, okay? That's what it was. So, since then, one night I'm meeting some people there, and I go in, and the NFL football game is on TV, okay? This is 18 months ago, okay? Then there's live music advertised. Now, for starting over a year ago, it's trivia night, it's game night, it's kind of everything you can experience at PJ Wellahan's, that calendar of events. That's what they're advertising, okay? Even some things PJ doesn't, like kids' night, okay? We, a year ago, met with them, said, you're not allowed to be doing this. If you want to be doing this, you need to go to a board, and you need to get variance relief. You need to get approved to do this because you're not allowed to do this. That was over a year ago, okay? They never did. They keep doing it. So they got cited after a year, okay? So the crackdown was really slow, okay? And now that they've been hit with this, they're going out and telling everybody that we're being unreasonable. And as far as I'm concerned, all we're doing is following the rules that we set up with them, okay? And just saying, look, you're not a bar, okay? It is not a bar. Bar-like, and if you read some of the stuff when the legislation was done, it's like the head of the Craft Brewers Association talks it like it's not a bar. Like it's not to have bar-like activities. It's a tasting room, okay? So that's where we are with it. That's where we're okay with. I'm still, at least for me, myself, I don't want it to be more than a tasting room. It hasn't been fun, this run, because all we're doing is they're like going outside the pretty clear lines, going outside the lines. When we say something, I hear all kinds of nonsense about it. It just hasn't been a really great experience, okay? But they're scheduled to go to, I think zoning board is doing a special meeting in 2 weeks, and they're on that agenda. So they go to the board, and if they get cleared and get approved what they can do, then they can do. But you can't just go beyond the rules, and after we sit and meet with them and say, look, just go to the board. If the board says you can do it, you can do it. If you can't, then they can't.
And if I could jump in, and I think that's a really important thing is that we focus on and we ask everyone to look at process. That whatever happens at the end, you want to make sure you're following the rules that are there. Because you don't want us arbitrarily saying, oh, we changed the speed limit to 12 miles an hour on your road, we're writing you a ticket. The rule says 25, you do 25. If the rule says don't do this, don't run TVs in your place, don't do it. But there is a remedy, which is a variance to use. So just follow the process. Don't ignore what's on the books, because to look past things that are being done is probably far worse for a public official to do. To say, well, I like you, so I'm going to look past this. You've got to treat everyone equally. You've got to treat them equally. So I think process is really important, and all we're asking is follow the process.
Well,
Maybe happy.
Now let me tell you, our zoning ordinance says 4-ounce glasses.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
That's not what's getting served there,
No.
okay? Because since we adopted the zoning ordinance, the state law changed and says the breweries can do pints, okay? But that's not what our zoning provides, okay? And the reason we did it this way and did it as our zoning ordinance is, and this was discussed with them, is because if state law changes, we don't want to be bound by the state law changes. If the state law was to say, you can have TVs, you can have live music, you can be a bar now, we didn't want that, okay? So that state law changed. Our zoning ordinance has not changed, okay? And we haven't cracked down on that. All right, we're just like trying to get them to follow 80% of the rules. It's a good thing. It's a good amenity. It's a great, it's been a nice thing in town. It's just, just little stupid stuff. Okay?
So when we
At least in my opinion.
when we cite them, does that mean they get fined?
Well, they have an opportunity to go to the board to request a variance.
Okay.
If they do not get that variance, then there could be a fine, but usually it's a zoning ordinance, okay? And zoning, we don't usually push to get fines. The purpose of the zoning violations is to get compliance, okay? So they haven't held these events in the last few months. They put notices out to all their people saying, you know why we're not having this event? Because the borough shut us down, okay? All right, we're the bad guys. So, right? Right, Joe?
It's easy to make a Facebook post like that.
Yeah, right, and that's what they did. They threw it out all over social media saying we shut them down, okay? It's been a year. But odds are we won't push to get fines. We'll just push that it's compliance, that you're not doing this anymore, okay? And there's still the bits like Joan said about the tours, Like, they don't give tours, they're supposed to give a tour. You know, there's just, it's kind of lost the original.
I mean, I like
the original
the
purpose.
place. I liked it when I've gone there, but I've gone with people and said, hey, there's new people here, give them the tour. And they said, nah, we don't want to do the tour. And I'm like, first of all, you have to, and second of all, I'm asking you to. People on the end of the Proud Neighbors event, we were going on a tour through the town, and then they're gonna end up there, and we're gonna go take a look at what a brewery is really like, and they didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah, and the tour really is this. Okay? It's not like you have to take a car and go somewhere. It's like, okay, all right, solid.
And it's nice. I mean, their 6.5 minutes of saying what they do is something people have never seen before. And it's
Okay.
interesting. So,
Let's go, yeah, so,
more things.
all right?
More things.
There you go.
More topics.
More than you ever want to, that's why I don't want to do it on emails with you. Yes, sir, get around, yes.
Quick question, what's gonna happen with the sport museum property?
There is a group that is interested. I don't know that they have it under agreement yet. Did they, Keith? You guys- They were in negotiations with them. It was to do, it's like a computer company, right? They really wanted it for the offices upstairs, and they were gonna do some retail downstairs, so it's up for sale. We would love to see a business in there that was open more than 12 minutes a week.
Buy it, buy
I
it.
think that would be really nice. And that's another one where we're the bad guy, you know, we're the bad guy. But it's, yeah, there's been some people that have had some interest. We've like met with them, tried to expedite things for them, you know, get them quick reads on what, the big concerns are fire code stuff there. Because when they did the renovation, they didn't, like, it's restricted on what use can be made of upper floors because they're not sprinklered. And so, you know, we're working with whoever's interested. So hopefully they got an agreement signed, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Okay. Yes, you said something, sir. Yes.
Yes. So first I have to compliment you on holding this meeting, allowing people to share their thoughts.
Uh-oh, something's coming. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
I've done. This ain't my first rodeo. I can tell. I can tell.
So this is mine, because this is the first time I've been
Well,
here.
welcome. Welcome.
And my name is Frank Cadabra. I make a living as a professional magician. What are the odds? The nice name Cadabra. Professional magician in the state of New Jersey. I saved up all my money for almost a decade to purchase 20, 40, and 45 Bellevue Terrace in Collingswood.
Okay.
After purchasing the buildings, I invested $60,000 of my own money improving them in the last year. I purchased in March 2016. Two issues I'm here to address. In 20 Bellevue Terrace, we have 500 plus gallons of water coming into the basement every day. Again, I repeat that, 500 a day. And it's going to a French drain system. The water is then pumped out with a sub pump.
When you say it's coming in your basement every day, coming in from where?
Pipes. And
Oh, it's coming up from.
Well,
Groundwater or?
I met with a water official. I talked with Tom McCarthy. He says it's the conclusion that they both reached is kind of a mystery, and they feel it's an underground spring of some kind, and it's just natural, it's clean water that's running in there. And you know, that was one thing I wanted to address. It is being pumped out. You know, the second issue would be behind 20 Bellevue Terrace. There is a dirt road.
The alley? Yep.
The alley there, yeah.
Yep.
You may or may not have gotten the information I emailed you.
Yeah, yeah, I flipped it out to our staff, yeah.
Okay. I think it'd be a reasonable solution to pave the road. I think it's a lifetime fix. It's a very low volume road. I understand tax dollars are valuable, but with, if it's done properly and done with, you know, money's not wasted, you could do it for $30,000 and you have I'll say this, everybody in this room cares about the town. I can see the way you're talking about. I think it's great. If you go down Bellevue Terrace, you'll know which three houses are mine. I think they're the brightest, you know, best looking houses on the block now. I care about them too. I want to own them the rest of my life, and I want to keep making them better. So, if anybody here had a dirt road, dirt roads belong in third world countries. They don't belong in Collingswood. Everybody here cares about there's a level of class and prestige that this town holds, and I think it would be synonymous with the rest of the town to address it. If you can't afford the dirt road, you can at least level it and put gravel down so you don't have muddy puddles. And you're talking 15 homes that are adjacent to this road, so one of my 3 houses is the one that's affected, but it will positively impact 15 taxpayers. And, you know, bad news for us is our property value will probably go up, so you can collect more taxes.
Okay. All right, so there's two things. One on the water, so the 2 issues he's raised on Bellevue Terrace are about flooding in the basement, and the second has to do with, there's an alleyway kind of behind the homes on Bellevue, kind of on the Route 130 side, okay, is where this alley is. So, 2 things. One is, we all get water in our basements, okay? My house, French drain, if I don't have that French drain, that sump pump is my best friend, working 24/7. If that sump pump, I have backup sump pumps. We have 2, okay? Because if they ever go, I got 2-3 feet of water in my basement because we're between 2 bodies of water.
Right.
I can't tell you all the people in town, water's in our basements, everybody, okay? The second is, we'll look at the alleyway out there. I know we clean it up every year, we do grading and stuff out there.
There's a whole plan for spring to get back there and do a spring.
Paving it won't do a lot to help your water in your basement, okay?
Actually,
Just
it
saying.
works,
Make it
it's
worse.
impermeable.
Yeah, I know,
Have
but
open space.
we can take a look and we clean it for sure.
I know there is a sewer line running down there, and
Right.
there are drains going, so if you do the right job and you put a drain in, it'll just go right to that sewer line. You know, I could do it relative, I'm willing to invest, give me my time as a resource, and I've worked with.
Can't you just make it all go away? We will take a
Just
look.
can't tell you how.
I would love to, but then your zoning officers now,
We will take, oh yeah, no, don't take it away that way, no. We will take a look back there. We will take a look, okay?
Thanks.
I printed out, you know, the pictures and.
Okay, great.
Good, thank you.
Yep, you got it. You got it.
Where's the
Rosemary?
garden? Is this near the garden?
Yeah, you got it, man. No, thanks.
Garden
Welcome to
down?
town. Welcome. Waiting for you like to make one of us disappear, but anyway.
Well,
Wait till we get to further and deeper in the comments, and I'll tell you who. Go ahead, Rosemary, yeah. Yeah, good to see you, yeah. Painted the water towers just for Rosemary. Rosemary has an apartment in the Parkview, and that was her view of the west side water tank, and she reminded me quite frequently that it was in bad condition. Yeah.
We even let it go on fire for you for
Yeah.
a little
Well, that was
entertainment
during
that one time.
During the paint job, yeah. It's the only water
Only
tower
once,
that
that's
caught
it.
fire.
Never again.
Did you all know that when it was getting done? When it was getting, so, yeah, I'll tell you this way, we're away, and it was a Saturday morning, I think, and I get a text from, many of you know Bob Tonsberg, who lives on the west side, right, Bob? So Bobby sends me a text and he says, Mayor, does this mean I'll have more hot water? And it's a picture of the west side water tank with flames coming out. And I was like, oh, this is a joke, like he made a picture, right? And I called Kevin, right? Or I texted Kevin, our police chief, and I said, is the west side water tank on fire? And he texts back and goes, no. And then 2 minutes later, he texts back and says, yes.
So remember, if you know there's a fire, text Mally first.
Yeah, the pain, actually the guys, it was pretty, it was a lesson in all the fire code stuff, right? Because guys were up there and some of their materials caught fire. And they were following the rules, right? Keith, I'm right, they had a fire guy like on duty with them, which they're supposed to have. And it was a little bit of a, tough situation. It's tough to fight a fire when it's up on top of a water tank, as that may seem, but they got everybody out safe. It was all fine. So go ahead, you had a question, yes.
Thanks again for the water tower.
You got it.
So much better. The woman over there mentioned Parkview.
Yes.
their owners, and I've been after them to communicate with this place because I'm a geographer, as you know. But they just gave me, without me asking, they gave me a year and 16 months to drive to
we'll have a discussion. This is about Parkview, and Rosemary's saying like she just renewed, didn't get any increases or anything, so we'll try and touch base on trying to understand. I know they're coming in with some plans to redo the parking lots in order to increase the number of spaces that are there, which we think is a good thing, because as occupancy has increased there, there's not enough room for the cars, and the cars are pushing out into the neighborhoods. So we're going to be, I think the meeting happened. I know.
Met with them yesterday, yeah.
They just met. Yeah, I wasn't going to go to it, but they just had a meeting to go over what the plan is.
They
Okay.
said they're gonna do a lot of
So there's some
landscaping with
improvements.
trees,
Yep.
gardening and stuff.
Yep. You got it. Yes.
What's the process to get speed limit signs on Federalwood Avenue?
Oh, speed limit signs on Meadowwood. We can do signs. What do you just want to get them posted?
I'd like 2 signs for 25 miles per hour.
Meadowwood.
Is Meadowwood 25
Meadowwood with the
miles
speed
an
limit
hour?
signs on Meadowwood. They're on the bend. They're right on the bend where all the damage was in Sandy. Not that I remember. Right. Walked every night for what? How long was that?
Yeah.
6 weeks.
So Chief is nodding his head.
Yep. Okay. So yes, we can do that. What else? Anybody else need a sign? Need the signs. Yes, Ann.
I don't need a sign. Could you just talk a little bit about how we're doing with rehabbing houses?
Sure. So we've had an abandoned properties program in place for a couple years now. We started out with roughly 100 properties. We were using this new state law, the start of that process a couple of years ago. It takes a very long time. We got to the end of this process, which allowed us to, under a court supervision, to go in and rehab somebody else's house without ever taking ownership of it. Court gives us the authority, gives us liens on the property for what we spend on the property. The first one we did was on Harvard Ave. We authorized, we did a bond ordinance to authorize up to $1 million to be spent on doing these. But the good news is when we borrowed that million, we didn't borrow the $1 million. We authorized borrowing the $1 million. And then we did a little ceremony that we were starting work on the first one, and it had great ripple effects, because in the week after that, we had like 25 building permits applied for properties that were on the abandoned properties list. Okay, so we're now so that house is done. We're about to start construction. We're in construction on one.
19 Lees is probably 2 weeks. From
2 weeks, really? Come on, 2 weeks away from being done on 19 Lees.
Is that metaphorical too?
Yeah, Money Pit is our, everything's 2 weeks. But so Lees Avenue, one is almost finished. On the Harvard one, we got repaid everything that we spent on the property. Got a $10,000 development fee for it, and it was, it was sold, and somebody's living in the neighborhood. Okay, we have Lee's is just about done. There's another one that we're
Penn
waiting.
Avenue, we're looking at.
We're waiting for another one to come in. One is here on Harrison. It's probably a demolition. Second house in over here is probably going to have to come down from what it looks like. So we're down to less than 20.
To give you a sense, when I started a year and change ago, we had 2 full-page spreadsheet of properties, and at our last meeting, we were taking off, of a single page, we probably took off 15 things, so we're
20. Yeah, we're under 20 right now, so it's worked really well, and we're going to keep going until we get to the end, and there'll be a couple more that we'll have, but it's worked really well. Kind of just going out and saying we're really going to do this and starting to do it, got a lot of people, I said banks, third-party servicing agencies to finally go and do real work. We would not accept them just getting the building up to code and leaving it sit empty. We insisted that it needed to be brought up to code, put on the market, and sold. We wanted somebody in the house. Okay, so we're getting to the end of that.
So one that everybody has noticed for a long time is the empty store next door to Il Fiore.
Right, yep.
And that they're in there working on it and gonna make an expansion of their restaurant, and maybe there won't be 20 people waiting outside every Friday and Saturday.
Yes, there will.
That's our goal. Yes, there will, because they're popular.
Yeah, and but that's another one where the borough got involved. We took that building by eminent domain, okay? Because for the last 10 years, it's been tied up in a bankruptcy and then a foreclosure, and you could never get hold of who owned it, and everybody was passing the buck. So we just moved it into eminent domain. When the town does that, all we do is pay the value of the property into court, and then they all fight over whose money it is, okay? And we get title of the property, and we're in a lease purchase with Londi and El Fiore. They're gonna buy it from us, and they'll just expand the restaurant there. Okay? Hang on, let me just bounce around. Yes, sir.
100 Woodlawn Avenue. Has that property been sold?
100 Woodlawn.
Right on the corner of Woodlawn and Maple.
The one with the pool?
I think it's
The
still
one-
listed.
The one on Maple and Woodlawn hasn't been sold? I don't know.
Because there was a sign came down and expired, then the same sign went up, now the sign came down.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can look into
I
it.
know it's been rehabbed.
Right. no,
Yeah,
was
I know it's all
sure.
been fixed up, but no, I don't know. I don't know.
It's better though, right?
Well, it looks a little bit better. It'd be nicer to have a family
Family,
there.
yeah.
Yes.
Repaving on Harrison.
Yes.
Remington and Vernick were out about a year ago shooting
It's coming.
stuff.
Harrison, we got, repaving Harrison, we got funded for.
We got funded, we're
Um,
going back out.
It's doing all of Harrison except next to my house,
Well,
okay?
that's okay.
Well, I gotta pay more attention
got
at these
plenty.
meetings.
You
Huh?
got plenty.
Yeah, flooding, yeah.
So
So it's
we-
Harrison
yeah.
from the Pike out.
Yeah, so we went out to bid to contractors. The numbers that came back from the contractors were higher than what we anticipated. So
Well,
we're
it's an
reworking
upcoming
our,
neighborhood, that's why.
we're reworking our bid, yeah, exactly. So we're reworking it and it'll go out and hopefully we'll find a contractor and.
Should be done this summer.
And we did get a DOT grant to subsidize, which is hugely important, and not every town gets these, so it's really, we aggressively try to get this
Yeah.
free money.
Should be done this summer. Okay? Yes.
A question about Parkview and the parking lot. Is that something that the neighbors will get notified if they're going to level? I live across the street, right across the street. I don't know where they're going to expand the parking lot, but I'd be interested to know do we get notified? If they're
I
gonna come
don't,
in and
not
paint
not
things?
necessarily. It depends on whether it needs, like a site plan and whether or not that triggers notice requirements. My guess is no, that you won't,
Okay.
but the way that they'll be doing the configuration, Keith was there today, it's like white
Piece by piece.
They're actually gonna do it in 2 phases. They're gonna do it in 2 phases. One of
This is
them
our
will be-
administrator, Keith Hastings.
Oh, okay.
One of them will be a minor adjustments that you're not even gonna notice. But actually, when I was on site there, when they do the major work of it, and I think they'll definitely have the neighbors in mind.
Is the major work gonna be on the Browning Road side or the White Horse Pike side?
On the White Horse Pike side.
Oh, okay, 'cause
It
Browning
has to do with
Road.
an unused tennis court, so that's what they're looking at.
So the tennis court's gonna go and we're making
Oh,
parking,
okay.
which I've never ever seen anybody on the tennis court,
One person was dead there.
That should be
Thanks.
interesting.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, all
Yeah.
right, yes, sir. Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Going back to signs on Champion, on the corner of Champion and Collins by the railroad track, the sign there is like shaped like a boomerang. And when I tell people, look, to turn on Champion to come to my house, they can't see it. They can't see it at night because it's like that.
Just tell them the boomerang sign. Is that a little more distinctive and easier to find?
Did you guys hear
Carl,
it?
you got that? Champion and Collins.
Needs a better sign.
Street sign.
Okay. The other, 2 more things. The other one is the sewer grates around Collins and Taylor and Grant and Taylor, when they get covered with leaves and I call the department, they come right out and clear it off, or they take the manhole cover and vacuum. Unfortunately, there's so much compost underneath the grates themselves that the water still kind of just like bubbles up. There's vegetation.
Yeah,
Last year I
it needs
remember
a
there was like,
complete roto-rooter type
yeah,
of
they need
thing.
to pull the actual grate
Taylor,
up.
what'd you say, Taylor and?
Corner of Grant and Taylor, there's the 4 of
Grant
them
and
right
Taylor.
there, and Collins
Collins
and
and
Taylor.
Taylor.
There was like, I was walking my dog and it looked like somebody spilled surgical gloves, those purple elastic gloves, and they're all lined against the curb of Collins, and the rain the other day was just blowing down, and I couldn't pick them all up, and I had my dog, so there was
Did
just
the
like,
dog pick some up?
he could have.
Okay, all right. The peanut gallery, I got the thing where they put peanut gallery.
So, I mean, they all needed to be like lifted up, and
You got it.
you
We
could
got
put
it.
your hand in it.
Go get it, go get out and take a look.
And the third thing involves all of us. There's that, in the woods, there was a debate a couple months ago as to these caps, are these type of caps
Do you mean
recyclable?
like in the woods, or do you mean on the Facebook page?
Both. No,
Okay.
no. On in the
My
social media.
My understanding is don't leave it on the bottle, because they're different types of plastics.
Right.
But if
Can that
you do them,
pla-
if you
is
put
that
them
recyclable?
separate, if you put them
Some are,
separately.
some are, and a small amount are. Sometimes they can't do a million of them, but some places, it could be number 5, it could be number 3, it could be number 2.
So
So
recycle.
on your website,
Undo it.
the poster says, don't include
Right.
them. And a lot of people don't, but then on the website, in the Woods website, they were saying, somebody who said they were in the know, said if you don't put them on,
Wait a minute. We're now addressing somebody in the know on Facebook, right? That's what we're talking about? So go ahead, what did they say on In the Wood?
that if you didn't include them, then the process for recycling those bottles would be delayed or wouldn't actually take effect as if you kept them on. So a lot of people had,
Should they recycle the caps or not?
The caps are actually officially not recyclable.
okay.
So it's better that you don't put it so it doesn't screw up the streamline of what they're doing. The truth is that if some were in it, not on the bottle, some would be absorbed a small amount, just like glossy paper is not as recyclable as newspaper, but a small amount is okay. But there's a lot of people working at these recycling places, and I hate to think that all they do is grab the caps and throw them in the garbage. So we have the bottle.
Could you get a post up about that? Get on In the Wood.
So-
Do it as,
I find little
do
soda
it
caps
as one of our
all over
aliases, though.
the
Don't do
sidewalks
But it
all the
depends on
time.
what number plastic it is, so if you find out what number plastic it is,
Yeah,
that could be recyclable.
these caps don't often have
In
any
general, they're not.
tri-numbers.
Most caps don't. It's like an
Most caps don't.
idea,
It's not
it's
worth
good,
it.
but it's not.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
yet.
So the answer is, we really don't know, but I would rely on the guy who's on In the Wood.
It's officially a no.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
What's going where Yoga Wood left?
I don't know.
It says
I don't
under
know.
It's
contract.
under contract.
Right, I
Wait,
was wondering
so
what
That
that
is
means, that just means somebody
Anybody
bought the
know?
building.
Okay, I didn't know if anybody knew what was going there.
I don't think we have an application into the zoning office, and if we did,
Okay.
it's not public yet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't, I
What's
just,
going in the old police station?
oh, it's going away.
It is
Oh, no.
completely.
There's no, that police
Ready to
station
come down.
should be an abandoned building.
When the chief was taking people on tours and took the wall and shook it, either he's the strongest guy in the world, or this is the worst building in the world, and he's not the strongest guy in the world.
I
No
think
offense,
he
Chief.
is. He says he is. Ask him.
When was it, Chief, do we know when it was built?
No idea.
No.
But it wasn't built as a police
1906.
department. It's like a
I
coal
know.
station or something.
I know that Andy and Barney used to work there. That's all I know.
It would be great for a Halloween powerhouse.
Yeah, well, it can be in your backyard, okay? Because when we get this done and we move those police out, that building is history. It is gone. It is, oh, it's the worst. Just the worst. What else? Now, hold on, Rosemary, let me just see who else. Did you have something?
Yeah,
I'll let you new folks, okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just got off the computer
Hey, man.
about an hour ago.
Uh-huh.
Looked at the last commissioners meeting.
Okay. So you're the guy that's watching. You and my mom are the ones that are watching.
You only had 6 views.
I know. So you, my mom, I'll have to check. My mom probably had trouble getting it going, so it counts as 4. Mom, if you watch this, that was just a joke. I didn't mean anything.
You said the average homeowner is going, their taxes are going to increase around
$33. Yeah.
based on what evaluation?
The average of 2.
Keith? What's our average household? 229.
29.
229,000 is the average assessed value. On that average, our tax increase this year is a $33 increase. Okay. So if you're more than that or less than that, you can proportion from that. The big thing in our budget this year is we have $1 million dedicated to street improvements, okay? Which is almost 4 times what we usually spend on infrastructure within the budget, not borrowing money for it, within our budget this year.
Let's say, let me ask you a question. Does the highway department The only reason why I asked that, because I've been living here for 4 years now, and this is the first year I've seen these. Did you buy dump trucks, big dump trucks?
We have pretty big trucks. Did we outsource the plowing?
Wow.
County also does plowing on the county roads.
All right, because I live on West Franklin Avenue.
Okay, they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be
Okay.
there.
It's the first year I noticed, they did a tremendous job.
It's the first year they noticed the Public Works did a good job.
Wait a minute.
I agree with you, it's about time.
No, you came and said, I'm only joking. I was mainly to get him, that's all.
Careful of the guys out there.
Yes, I know.
They did
Well,
a
thank
nice
you.
job.
Thank you.
The only downfall was, they came
There it
down
is.
the highway, down the street about 20 miles an hour. You have the big plows, 20 miles an hour. It threw it all on the sidewalk.
Well, so the one storm at the end, believe me, you're not the first to talk to me about this. I had neighbors talk to me about this. That last storm, one of the last storms we had
Slush
was
storm.
crazy, wet, slushy snow. And no matter what they did with the plows, that stuff went up on a lot think sidewalks,
No, they
okay?
did a nice job.
It's just what, yeah, it's just the way it was. Yeah, it's just the way it was. Couldn't do much about it.
Piggyback, I'm gonna, ask the chief to confirm what I read in the town crier, that, on holidays and Saturdays and Sundays, you don't enforce on-street parking?
On holidays, Saturdays and Sundays, we don't enforce.
Correct.
On Saturdays and Sundays?
Correct.
You're talking about
Help me
overnight?
here. You mean overnight parking?
Correct, overnight parking.
Okay, well, that's not what I said, on-street parking, yeah, so, to me, it sounded like, we don't hit anybody on the weekend on 9 o'clock on the
They give
weekend.
tickets on the weekend.
Okay,
Overnight parking, we do not.
yeah, they lay off on the overnight parking on
Holidays
and
and
stuff.
weekends, we do not enforce overnight parking.
But you didn't say that. Like, if you were parking in an illegal spot at 3 in the afternoon on a Saturday, you'll get a ticket.
It's the overnight parking.
Overnight,
Yeah, just overnight parking.
They don't have to. First of all, they have
What
the right
days
to
are the
give a
weekend
ticket.
days?
It's on the website, we don't do the overnight parking Friday and Saturday evenings, and we don't do it on the holidays.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any updates on Newton Lake? I know it's not your responsibility, but presumably the county does talk to you.
They do talk to me. No, I really don't. The last I got on Newton Lake was that they're dredging, right? The dredging project's coming, I do believe.
Oh, it's coming, but it hasn't. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
well,
it.
it's government, like, it's coming, it's a major advance.
I guess there's a couple parts to it, right? It's this
Wow.
big, what, 30 million?
Okay.
Oh, all right,
good.
well, yeah.
There's a organization called the Newton Watershed Organization, and they've been publishing the documents and things on Facebook for
Right.
people to read. And the last thing they published was, it was not going to be dredged between March and June, so I assume it's gonna start sometime after June. But they had put forward some concerns about wildlife and what they called de-watering, which I guess they're gonna take water out, clean it, and put it back. And
Now,
they,
dewatering is when they take out the dredge spoils, okay? They'll store them on the on the banks, and let the water
Drip
leave
back.
so that it's more the dirt. Yeah.
So they had-
Remember when they did Cooper River, right?
There were the
I know
big
those long
black
tubes all
things,
over
yeah.
on the banks. That was a dewatering process. Okay?
So they asked them about the wildlife to talk to some marine biological folks in the state of New Jersey, and the commission agreed to do that. So I guess it's still ongoing, but it's not going to be definitely until after June.
Yeah, so it must be some kind of spawning period or some wildlife period while they're not doing it those months. That's my guess. Okay, yes?
Excuse me, I'm getting my voice back. A three-pronged comment. First of all, our family's been in Collingwood for about 1.5 years, going on 2 years. We're absolutely thrilled with the town, with the schools, with everything, so congrats on that.
Great.
I've spent about that same 1.5 years trying to figure out how you cross the Haddon Collins Ave intersection. I feel like I'm a pretty good driver, and I never really know if it's my turn to turn left, if I'm coming, say, from the Patco direction.
On Haddon.
On
right?
Haddon,
Uh-huh.
and I stop at Haddon and Collins, and I want to turn left to go to the school, for example.
Right.
I never really know if I'm supposed to turn.
Well, if
I
it's
just
a
kind of
green-
have to look around and make sure there's no
So
cars coming.
There's a left-hand signal that you have it exclusively.
Yeah.
Right,
When it's
but
green,
then
you
it-
just
yeah.
have to wait for any oncoming traffic.
Right, but then like the people coming from the Wawa side, they have like a delayed light, or they
Yeah,
don't,
because
or they
when
just
it's a
stop because
left,
they're being
when-
nice, or what?
You're traveling in your direction, you said, coming away from the speed line, when you have the left turn signal only, then the other side of the street doesn't have a green light.
Right,
And when that left turn only ends, then it's just green lights for everybody. So you turn when you can turn.
right, but then that turn signal, that specific left-hand turn signal disappears at some point.
Yes.
I
Yes.
still have a green.
Yes.
And the other cars are stopped for some reason.
Oh, they
For
come
a
pretty quick.
second.
Are they-
Yeah, they come pretty quick.
There's
Yeah, there's just a
No,
delay.
but there's a delay there.
Yeah, like a 1, 2, 3 delay to let all the traffic finish making their
You
turn.
want to make sure people clear.
Please, go ahead. Go
There is
ahead.
a slight delay there, but to add to the confusion a little more, if you're turning left there, you already yield to pedestrians as well.
Right, well, that was the third prong. The third prong to my comment was, I have 3 middle school kids. And them crossing that intersection on bikes or as pedestrians is dangerous. I feel like it's a dangerous intersection for them to cross, because the crosswalks are very faded. And they're never quite sure, the walk signal for the pedestrians doesn't always come on. I don't think there's a button on all of the corners, and the traffic there is really hard for them to follow. So I feel like that's a really dangerous intersection all the way around.
We'll check and see if they're working right, but, it does not, when the light, when it's a left, when it starts green on the Haddon part, the pedestrian thing stays do not walk. And the reason is because it's exclusively left turns. So it's there because you don't want to make that conflict.
And then when the left turn only green arrow goes off, the
Pedestrian
white
does.
pedestrian sign comes up and you can cross.
And cars must yield to people in the
That's the
crosswalk.
reason for the delay, actually.
Yeah.
Waiting for that left turn arrow to
Let
go
them-
away, there's a slight delay for the pedestrian sign to light up white so you can cross.
Yeah, it really does work. You cross as a pedestrian when it's a white pedestrians can cross sign, and you proceed when it's a green light. There's no magic beyond that.
And
No.
is there a walk button, like for pedestrians on all 4?
I don't think so.
I don't
But
think
it
so,
doesn't-
right?
But
So it doesn't always.
It won't, it doesn't matter.
It's still
It-
timed.
It comes in the rotation. You're not gonna get, we can put a button there, but it's not gonna make it go
No,
any
no, but
faster.
like if the white walk signal comes on, then there doesn't need to be a button.
No, it's in the rotation, it's in that rotation. It's just, like you said it's not safe, we've done stuff, it really wasn't safe before, because crossing from Tortilla Press to Arts Plus, there was never any pedestrian sign, okay? So when you were there, you were just rolling the dice to figure out who was okay. Now, you should only be crossing then when the white pedestrian comes up. You should still look for traffic, because other traffic has green lights, okay? But that's time to regulate when pedestrians can cross too.
Okay, so would
Okay.
it be possible to work into that, the street improvements this summer, the repainting of the
Yeah, that gets done every
crosswalks
spring.
all the way up Haddon Ave?
As soon as winter ends, like sometime around the 4th of July,
Yeah.
we will, that's done, that gets done every year. That'll all be getting done. Yep, okay? Yes, hang on, yes.
Every month or month and a half, they have like a work crew that comes on the corner of Collins and Champion Avenue, and they clean up all along the railroad, and the guys and the girls that are there doing the work put anywhere from 30 to 50 bags on the corner of Champion and Collins,
Yep.
and the trashmen don't want to pick it up.
Okay.
I call them, they hate me, because they said it's not your property, mind your business. I said, but you don't
Who
understand.
said that?
You,
Trash company, trash sanitation.
Calling South
who
Jersey.
picks
South
up the
Jersey
trash?
Sanitation.
Yeah, you should call us.
Well,
You
I
should
tell
call-
some of the guys,
Well, you should call over the borough or send me an email.
the-
Because the guys, the guys working the street aren't gonna be able to make contact with the trash company.
and then by the time they get there to do the trash, it's all over.
All over.
And I
So,
mean,
you know
how could
Keith
they miss-
Hastings, you know our administrator, right? You're over at the,
Yeah, what's that in the place?
yeah, I wanna say Eldridge Gardens, I'm starting having a Bud Law moment, I'm going back to what it used to be. Pewter, it's a pewter village. But, just contact Keith and he'll make sure we would contact, and we'll work that out with the trash
They pick
guys.
up trash across the street, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they get paid more money the more trash they get, don't worry, their managers will make sure they do it.
Okay, the girl said, again, you're calling, and I said, yeah, they didn't pick it up, so I don't want it all down
Let
the
Keith,
block.
email over to Keith or to me and we'll make sure
Okay.
they get it done. Okay, yes,
She is manager over at Pewter Village Apartments.
Yes.
Project.
Yep.
I'm there for 4 years now, and I came from Gloucester Township.
Okay.
And,
big step up.
yes, well, I had to downgrade.
No,
Upgrade,
it was just a joke, nobody laughed, that was just a joke.
I had to upgrade into a better financial situation.
Got it.
Well, the rent is so out of control over there, it got me in the hole in it.
Okay,
What do we do about finding a way to have some type of rent control in that complex? Does the state of New Jersey have any kind of program besides the Section 8 program?
yeah, I just don't know, if the state has anything that, can control
Can't
that.
get answers from the state, try that, try Trent numbers, they're not up. So I'm thinking maybe talking to a private lawyer down here in South Jersey that might know something about rent control or Section 8. Does anybody have any ideas of where I could look, online or comparison?
There's, county social services may have information on that, okay? That would be probably your best shot. And, depending on your circumstance, like you can email me and I'll try to send it to a few people so that they can get in touch with you.
We need to find a way to control the rent over here.
Okay.
I would say that probably, if I'm not mistaken, probably half of the tenants there are on Social Security, including myself.
Gotcha.
So I don't see how raising the rent every single year and the income's not going up, but the rent's going up, it's like it's really getting out of control. And it's
Okay.
making it more financially difficult year for year. I've only been there 4 years, it's gone up 4 times already,
Gotcha.
and it's just,
Well, if you email to me, it's jmail@collinsville.com, you can get off right off the website, email me, and I will pass it on to some folks at the county, and you can chase down through that, I'll introduce you to them. Okay?
I understand it's a New York company that owns the property, and
Like Lakewood, I think they're out of Lakewood, New Jersey, I think.
Central Jersey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do believe it, right? Yeah.
Lakewood, New Jersey.
Lakewood, yeah, yep, okay. You got it. Hang on, just some new faces first. Yes?
Hi, I was wondering if we were gonna have another leaf collection, because the last one, there was that terrible weather prior to it, and everything was all wet, and I couldn't get my yard leaves and things.
So the question is, are we gonna have another leaf collection?
Like yard waste.
What's that?
Yard waste, trash company's picking it up, started this week.
Yard waste is picking up, but that's not what
Open
you're
bin,
talking
right?
about, right?
So you can put your yard waste in an open bin, and the trash company will pick up our compost.
It starts this week.
Right, because I did that, and they just put it into the regular garbage.
Well, because it hadn't started yet.
Okay, so.
And now it's underway. They don't do it in the winter time.
Thanks.
Yeah, you got it. Okay? Yes, sir?
Is there a plan to fix the high school, Plan B, fix all that?
Is there a plan B to fix the high school? Not my job. I would be happy to help if asked, but it never been asked, so.
Okay, so.
Not our, school board meets when, Jay?
April 30th.
School board, it's all school board. Okay? Yes, sir?
Nick Sarowich, lived here for about 3 years now, and gotta say, love the town. We've lived in a couple different towns in South Jersey. She's from Michigan, and she came over here and loved the town, so bought a fixer-upper, and we're working on it now.
It's
So
the only person that thinks it really is spring.
yeah. So it's coming
Mud
along.
season,
I
right?
just wanted to mention one thing. On Grand Ave where we live, there was utility line services that did the gas service going through. They really ripped up a lot of the road, and they did a mess of a job.
Yep.
You know, I do a lot of asphalt work and concrete work myself, and I just know it was really subpar work
Which
that
street
they've
did you
done.
say again?
Grant Ave,
Okay,
right
great.
over here.
Yeah,
And
oh yeah.
It
I
almost
noticed
looks
it
like a
today, yeah.
jigsaw of a street, and I thought at least anything just to do half of the street, so they would repave, you know, mill half the street, repave that half, leave the other half, you know, as it was. I could understand, but it just is such a mess, and it's already falling apart what they've done. So I didn't know if that was part of the.
We will look into, that was utility work, right?
Yeah, utility
Well,
line
BSEG.
service was the actual
Yeah.
company that got
So
subcontracted.
we'll chase that down with them.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like utilities are like higher in the food chain than we are.
I understand. Yeah, I do a
But
lot of water work.
we
and
can
whatnot.
still, we have our ways,
Okay.
okay? And we can still try and check and find out.
Yeah, and that, like I said, everything else we love, you know, but just that street when they did it, I was really disappointed to see how they repaved and everything like that. So.
What's your address?
802 Grand Ave.
Great, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
They're making notes back there. You got it. Thank you. Tim?
Speaking of utility poles, I have 2 telephone poles, one removed in the fall, and I still have one, the old one. So I guess you learn this pecking order, like the high work, PSE and G, they take care of that. They did a great job. But then they only cut down so far. So I guess it's up to me to continue the process. to get
On
the
your
rest of the
tree? On what, the
It's a
telephone?
telephone pole.
The utility pole? No, you, on the pole should be a little metal tag on it with a number. Email me, I'll flip it over to Keith,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
get in touch with
Just to
them.
continue
That's how
the
they
process.
identify the pole. Listen, it's really, really difficult. The guys that are there really try to do a good job,
Oh,
but it's
no, I'm
nothing
not-
like it used to be.
I didn't come here to complain about it.
No,
Just
since they
get
got,
on with it.
deregulated, getting them out to do stuff is,
Yeah, they were awesome with what they did.
yeah.
You
Kinda
know,
like
I
what
had
phone
2 green,
companies used to
green
be.
festival signs up, stuff I started because George, 2 poles, lots of signs on them. But, okay, so I don't have to do anything.
You're gonna email me with a number of what the telepole is, and we'll get it off and find out. Okay? Yes, ma'am?
What's the policy on the hours for the new restroom at Night Park? I mean, is that pegged to an hour of the day or daylight saving time?
Well,
a little
yeah.
bit later?
Well, once the pipes get fixed, but
Yeah.
here.
So
That's why I was
essentially, you know, during the winter and the deep freeze, pipes burst. They filed with insurance and trying to resolve this. We last week said we need to fast track this, that, you know, clearly we're getting to the season where
All the little
use is
kids
much
are
better.
out
So
here.
I hope everyone's listening, because we're fast tracked.
Yeah, it just hasn't been open, period.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, somebody else had a, yes.
I just want to say thank you. I now live on South Vineyard Boulevard again.
Okay.
Last April, I mentioned that since 1966, the street sign went from Boulevard, then it went to Drive, and then it went to Avenue, and now we're back to Boulevard.
See, whatever you want, whatever you want.
There's actually 3 of them
It's
there,
a sign,
right?
it's a sign,
So
you
now
know.
Siri has to be retold as to it's Boulevard and not Avenue.
There you go. Now it's Vineyard Boulevard. It's good to know. I'm expecting to see T-shirts soon. Who else? Yes.
Couple announcements.
Go ahead.
Right.
Promo time.
That's right, absolutely, promo time. April 26th, everybody has to come to the library at 7 p.m. because it's about decluttering. It is a seminar by a professional person that does that kind of work. 7 p.m., April 26th at the library. The next big event, of course, is the Porch and Brunch and House Tour. Do it every year, May 20th. We would love for some people to step up and become volunteers. Some of them will only take a couple hours to do. We would like people to bake goods for the porch brunch part of it, and that is. We also need volunteers just to help out with houses and some other stuff like that. And then don't forget, townwide yard sale, June 2nd. Okay, thanks.
Proud neighbors of Commons.
Yes, it is.
Okay. What else? Yes, Rosemary. Go ahead.
Is there any way to slow traffic from Newton Lake Drive
No.
into West Palm?
Any way to slow? Where at? What?
I'm trying to get out of Parkview onto Whitehorse Park is a nightmare. And I know there's a light near there, it's private. Is there any way to
slow traffic on Whitehorse Pike. I get out on the lakeside or on Collins, like, I hear you. I don't think there's anything. Well, first off, just from a legal standpoint, that's a federal highway, like, so a federal road, so we don't have any jurisdiction, even though sometimes we rip down their signs. But so we don't have a lot that we can do out there. We try to put some pedestrian signs and stuff out after that town meeting, you know. But at the meeting at the park, but yeah, listen, everybody drives too fast. We're trying. It stops, but on the Pike, there's just nothing. And it's so close to a light. Yeah. What else? Sixers fans, huh? We get home and watch them win again, huh? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you all for coming out. Appreciate it all. Thank you so much. Go home.